911. What's your emergency?
This is Alex Murdoch. I need the police to answer immediately. My wife and child just got badly.
Did you kill Maggie?
No. Did I kill my wife?
Yes, sir.
No, David.
Do you know who did?
No, I do not know who did.
This was the moment when influential injury lawyer Alex Murdaugh denied his involvement in the brutal killings of his 52-year-old wife Maggie and his 22-year-old son Paul, both victims of multiple gunshot wounds. This case features over 5 deaths, 2 gruesome murders, multiple assassination attempts, and hundreds of financial crimes, revealing the corruption within the police, judiciary, and justice system, and exposes how the powerful in society pervert the course of justice. Now, this case revolves around the Murdaugh family, a prominent and powerful legal dynasty in South Carolina. For nearly a century, from 1920 to 2006, the family held the influential position of prosecuting attorney in South Carolina's 14th Judicial District. Richard Alex Murdaugh, a 4th-generation member of that family, chose a different path as a successful injury attorney and a father of 2 sons, Buster and Paul. He appeared to have it all. He had success, wealth, and a family until the tragic double murder on June 7th of 2021, which led Alex Murdaugh to immediately dial 911.
Hampton County 911. What's your emergency?
This is Alex Murdoch. I need the police to answer immediately. My wife and child just got badly.
In no time, police officers and their numbers rushed to the Murdaugh hunting estate in rural Colleton County, where Alex had reported the incident took place, to find Alex's wife and son's lifeless bodies, just like he had reported.
Secure. Got a Whiskey Fox, Whiskey Mike, both gunshot wounds to the head.
Sir, I want to let you know, because of the scene, I did go get a gun and bring it down here.
It's in your vehicle? Do you have any guns on you at all?
No, sir. It's leaning up against the side of my car.
Okay. You're fine, man. You're fine. Turn around for me.
I don't have any.
Okay. Yes, sir. I see that. Okay. This is your wife and son?
And son.
Okay.
It's bad. It's bad. Check the pulses.
Yes, sir. This is the firearm you brought from inside the house?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I went and got. This is a long story. My son was in a boat wreck a few months back. He's been getting threats. Most of it's been benign stuff we didn't take serious.
Okay.
He's been getting like punched. I know that's somebody. I know that's what it is.
Before the police officer could fully grasp what had happened, Alex Murdaugh was already pointing fingers, suggesting that the murders were likely an act of retaliation related to his now-deceased son, Paul Murdaugh. 2 years earlier, Paul, while intoxicated, had taken his girlfriend and friends on a ride using the family boat. The boat crashed into a bridge, injuring all passengers except 19-year-old Mallory Beach, who tragically died, with her body being recovered the next day. Paul faced murder charges from the incident, but his father used his political and legal influence to try to cover it up. While it might have seemed convenient for Alex to bring up this theory, it was a plausible reason why Paul and his mother could have been easily targeted, especially given the threats that Alex claimed to have been receiving. Returning to the present situation, Alex didn't stop at suggesting possible suspects. He quickly moved on to establish his own alibi to the police.
Okay. When did you get home? Right when you called, or did you go to the house first? Where is the house?
I came to the house first. My mom has late stages Alzheimer's, and my dad is in the hospital.
Okay.
I left. I don't know what time. I can go back on my phone and tell you the exact times. Did you check?
Okay. Did I check what?
Did you check them?
We got medical guys that are that's what they're gonna do. Okay.
What are they doing? Can they hurry?
They are. Yes, sir. That gentleman that was out here already, he's one of the battalion chiefs. Okay. How did you pull up? You from back there?
I went to the house and they weren't home, which was odd. I tried to call.
Okay.
And then I knew they had been down here before I left to go to my mom's.
Okay.
And so that is loaded.
Okay.
You might want to unload it. But I mean,
Given Murdaugh's legal background, he clearly knew what he was doing, deflecting suspicion from himself, which only made his actions appear more suspicious. By this point, he had already named potential perpetrators and provided an alibi, and his demeanor was totally off for someone experiencing such a traumatic event. As more officers and detectives arrived on the scene, Alex was pulled aside by a detective for questioning. as he was their best lead in understanding what had happened and identifying the perpetrators, assuming his account could even be trusted.
All right. As I stated, I'm David Owen in Lower Rutland with Colleton County, and I'm with SLED. I hate to have to do this.
I
but,
understand.
yeah.
I totally
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
So you don't have any problem
Yeah.
with it.
So, just start at the top, take your time.
Like when I came back here, I mean, I pulled up and I could see him, and you know, I knew something was bad. I ran out. I knew it was really bad. My boy over there, I could see it was.
Sorry.
And I could see his brain on his. And I ran over to Maggie, and actually, I think I tried to turn Paul over first. You know, I tried to turn him over, and I don't know, I figured it out. His cell phone popped out of his pocket. I started to try to do something with it, thinking maybe, but then I put it back down really quickly. Then I went to my wife, and I mean, I could see.
Did you touch Maggie at all?
I did. I touched them both.
Okay.
I tried to take, I tried to do it as limited as possible, but I tried to take their pulse on both of them. And, you know, I called 911 pretty much right away.
Alex's cries, which seemed staged if we're being honest, only made him appear more suspicious rather than sympathetic, and his actions weren't helping his case at all. However, the officer then began questioning Alex about his theories on who might be responsible for the murders.
Going back to the boat incident, anybody on that boat really have a hard-on for Paul that you would think would come after him, or know of any direct threats from people on the boat?
I don't know of any direct threats between any of the people on the boat specifically, but I do think there's been a small amount of yip-yap between a couple of them, but not recently.
Okay.
Most of this was stuff from people that Paul didn't really know.
Okay.
It was some people that he knew distantly, but more times than not, when I learned about it, it was somebody that he didn't know.
Okay.
It's like, for example, he went out in Charleston a couple months ago, came back, you know, he got a black eye. And, you know, he can't defend himself right now because he has these charges. So, you know, Paul was a real tough man's man. You know, he would just...
He would defend himself, but he hadn't been...
That's right, but...
How was he handling that case? Moving over everybody?
As far as what?
How was he handling it?
I've never been prouder of him than the way he has handled the pressures and the adversity in that situation. I think I've told Danny that before.
And the shotgun that you had when deputies pulled up, where did that come from?
I went to the house and I got a gun. Probably overreacting, but...
And was that when you pulled up and saw them?
No, I mean, I came out and, I called 911 first. Talked to them for a little while, and then I told her.
You told her?
That I was going to go to the house.
Okay.
And that I would let authorities know when they got here that I had a gun.
Okay. Do you happen to have a list of all your guns?
I can make one. I don't have one, but
Yeah.
I can make one.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, you know, so we could compare if that shotgun was out here and now it's missing.
Absolutely.
Try to figure that out.
This was only the first interrogation, but the officers had already gathered a few key facts. Alex, his wife, and son were the only ones at the family hunting estate that day. The shooting took place near the dog kennel on the property, and all the other theories were just speculation at this point. The scene was cleared, evidence was collected, and 3 days later, the police returned with more questions for Alex. The evidence increasingly pointed towards him, especially after one of Maggie's friends came forward with a text that Maggie had sent her. In it, she described Alex as sounding fishy and being up to something before she went to meet him at the estate. At this point, the only factors working in Alex's favor were his alibi and his apparent lack of a clear motive.
So when we spoke the other night, I got kind of a basic overview.
Yes, sir.
And it was pretty traumatic.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I know
so,
you
yeah.
need to ask me. You ask me what you need to.
So I want you to, let's start Monday morning and take me through your day.
Monday morning, you know, did I do Monday morning? My wife and my older son had gone to the baseball games that weekend. You know, I really can't remember what I did Monday. I know I went to work, but you know, I think I was dragging a little bit from the weekend, but I went to work. I usually mess around on my farm, and then I go to work. I was at work. You know.
Were you at the office in Hampton, or?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So I was at my office in Hampton. You know, I mean, I was just at my office doing.
Legal work.
Yes, sir. I'm sure I can go back and probably recreate some specifics if you need me to, but I can't like sit here and recall on the top of my head exactly what I was working on.
Alex explained that he had left work early that day to go target shooting with his son, but the officers were less interested in that part of the day. Instead, they quickly redirected their questioning to the events of the night when the murders occurred.
So after y'all got finished riding around, try to take me through the rest of the evening.
All right. You know, at some point we were all back at the house together. Maggie had gotten home, and you know, we sat down, we ate supper, in which we usually eat supper together. The one thing I remember, I don't know how much detail y'all want, so if I start talking about something that you don't need, just tell me and I'll move to something else.
The more detail, the better, sir.
So Paul has been having high blood pressure, and his mama was worried sick about it. So we were actually, you know, this was a direct thing, getting him, he doesn't like to go to doctors, making him go get his blood pressure checked. His feet had swollen up recently.
Wow.
So, you know, it was a big, huge deal.
Okay.
You know, we hung around the house for a little while. I know that Maggie went to the kennels. I don't know exactly where Paul went, but he left the house too.
Okay. How did Maggie get down to the kennels?
I don't know exactly, but on normal occasions she would drive a buggy, drive a four-wheeler, or very common for her to walk.
Okay. How about Paul?
Paul wasn't much of a walker, but he would use all of the others.
Okay.
But I mean, it could be anyway, you know? I don't know exactly. I wish I could help you with that.
So they left and went down to the kennels.
Well, Maggie went to go to the kennels.
Okay. Paul left.
And I'm assuming, you know, Paul left because of, you know, what happened. I mean, I'm assuming Paul went to the kennels.
Okay. And what did you do once Maggie and Paul left?
I stayed in the house.
Okay.
And I was watching TV, looking at my phone, and I actually fell asleep on the couch.
Okay. And what time did you?
You know, I don't know
wake up?
exactly what time I woke up, but when y'all get my phone, You know, I think one of the first things I did when I got up was call Maggie because I was going to my mom's. And I know I texted her because I checked my phone. And what time do we say the text was, Jim? It's like 9:06.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I got it written down from the other night.
I showed you the other night, didn't I?
Yes, sir. I got this.
So, you know, I texted her. So I called her just before that. And, I mean, she didn't answer at that point. And I left to go to my mom's.
Okay.
Alex stuck to his alibi. The officers then asked him what happened, and he returned home after visiting his mother, as he claimed.
So,
All right, so where are we? All right, so then I
you
left
your
my
mom's and making phone calls.
I left my mom's and I went back home. I got to the house. I went inside. Nobody was there. I got in the car. I went back to the kennels and, you know.
And when you went back to the kennels, besides Maggie and Paul, did you see anybody, any cars?
I didn't see
Take
anything
your
right
time.
then, no, sir.
Take your time.
You know, I saw Maggie and I saw Paul laying down. I knew, you know, I didn't know, you know, I knew it was bad. I went over there and, you know, I saw it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I called 911.
Okay. And yeah, what made you decide to go back to the house and get a gun?
Yeah, I just think the whole scene had me freaked out.
Okay. Did you take your car back up there, or did you run up there?
No, I drove.
Okay. And we talked about this a little bit the other night too. I know Paul had been getting some threats and getting some being assaulted from, you know, the boat. Who stands out in your mind, besides the boat incident? Who stands out in your mind that would want to come after Paul and or Maggie?
I mean, sir, I can't think of anybody who would want to go to that extreme. You know, I mean, he got a bunch of threats, mostly from, you know, I mean, I have no idea.
How would he receive most of those threats?
What do you mean?
I mean, would people call and hang up on him, or send him text,
it
or
wasn't
social
so much
media?
That no, it was mostly like in-person confrontations, are the ones that I learned about. Now, I suspect his friends can probably tell you about more, because I doubt Paul told me about all of them.
Okay.
But I knew about a lot of them. You know, there were a lot of times where people would come up to him and he'd be like, they'd say something about, you know, you gonna tell me who was driving that boat, or you little piece of shit, were you driving that boat? You know, stuff like that.
Okay. Okay. Take your time. Go. Tissues.
I'm sorry.
You good?
I mean, she was a wonderful girl and a wonderful wife, and she was a great mother. She, you know, she didn't work, and she always said it was her job, since she was privileged enough not to work. She was gonna make sure she took care of me and the boys, and I mean, she did everything.
His tears began to appear genuine, but he undermined this when he asked to be updated on the case's progress, which came across as if he was seeking a heads up to get his story straight.
Well, I just thank y'all for everything, you know. My in-laws, my parents, my in-laws, I would like somebody to update me or my brother or somebody so that I can tell them as y'all discover things. Unless there's some reason y'all don't do that.
Well,
I mean, they just have so many questions.
I understand.
sorry. And I know if y'all have the phone, y'all can then.
You're talking about the tower itself.
Yeah.
Her mom and dad are just such good people. I mean, they're just
Doing all
wonderful
that, some
people.
of the other guys are back at the office.
Love her so much, and
Everybody we can deal with.
it really would make them feel good.
The second interview concluded, and the investigation moved forward with officers questioning friends, relatives, and colleagues. By the time Alex was called in for a third interrogation, 3 months after the murder, they had gathered so much evidence, Alex never would have seen it coming.
But before we get started with your questions, this has been going on for over 2 months, and we've done a lot of work.
I know you have.
And I've got some more questions that I need to get clarifications on.
Sure.
Okay. So we'll start with that.
Wait a minute. Hold
Yes,
on.
sir.
Maybe I'm mistaken. I thought we were coming here so you can update him on what's going on.
And I intend to do that as
Okay,
we
let's
go.
do that first.
Okay. There is a video on Paul's phone of you and him on the farm that night, and you were in khaki pants and a dress shirt. You were playing with a tree.
I don't remember playing with a tree.
Yeah. I guess there was a tree sapling or something that had fallen over or bending over, and you were trying to get it to stand up. But I mean, the question in that is, when I met you that night, you were in shorts and a t-shirt. At what point in that evening did you change clothes?
I'm not sure. It would have been.
Before dinner or after dinner?
No, it would have been. What time of day was that? I would have thought I'd already changed.
There's not a time. It looks to be about dusk. So that would have been 7:30, 8 o'clock.
I guess I changed when I got back to the house.
The officers sought answers as to why Alex was found wearing different clothes from those seen in nearby CCTV footage taken on the evening of the incident. They also had more questions about a call that his deceased son Paul received from his friend Rogan Gibson just minutes before he was killed. Rogan claimed that he heard Alex's voice during the call, which contradicted Alex's alibi, in which he stated that he was not present at the house when the murder took place.
I've got information that Paul was on the phone and Maggie was heard in the background and you were heard in the background, and that was prior to 9 p.m.
I heard Rogan Gibson ask me if I was up there. He said he thought it was me.
Was it you?
At 9 o'clock?
Yes, sir.
No, sir. Not if my times are right.
Who do you think it could have been?
I have no idea.
And Rogan's been around your family for pretty much all of his life.
Oh, absolutely.
And he recognizes your voice, and you have a distinct voice. Do you think of anybody else that has a voice similar to yours that he may have misinterpreted?
No, sir.
Unsurprisingly, Alex denied everything, but at this point, he was unaware of a video that Paul's friend Rogan had told the police about. Rogan claimed that Alex had asked Paul to make the video while at the dog kennel, where he was later killed. Paul had intended to show Rogan his sick dog and wanted to do so via video, but it never made it to Rogan. If this video existed, it would reveal whether Alex was indeed at the murder scene just minutes before the killings. The officers kept this development under wraps as they continued trying to access Paul's phone, not revealing anything to Alex to prevent him from coming up with an excuse or a new story.
Another part in the 911 call, you made the comment, "I should have known." And the questioning that surrounded, the dispatcher's asking, "Is anybody else supposed to be at the house?" And you said, "No, ma'am, please hurry." And she says, "We're getting somebody out there to you." And your next comment was, "I should have known." What are you referencing in that statement?
I don't remember saying that, but I guess, all the threats and
been convinced that this was something to do with the boat wreck and, you know, all of that.
The officers then focused on the gun casings at the murder scene, which were found to match bullets from the Murdaugh family's gunroom.
You know, we've already established family guns were used. And if they came from Paul's truck was at the house. So where were they?
How did they get down
Yeah,
there?
how did they get down there? I mean, it's normal for y'all to leave your keys in the cars. However, if somebody showed up and did this, you're not going to take Paul's truck back to the house and leave the key in it.
I mean, do you know that the guns were in the truck? I mean, could they have been somewhere else?
They could have been somewhere else. I mean, he didn't have his normal truck.
And I understand that Nolan Tootin believes he saw the gun 3 weeks beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't talked to him, but is he believes it was the one that, not the one that was at the house.
He claimed that Paul was always careless with his firearms and had even misplaced one recently. However, even if firearms were indeed misplaced, the likelihood that they were stolen and used by the alleged killer, while possible, was highly unlikely, and it's a shaky theory to rely on.
Thank you, man.
I just a few more questions.
Okay.
Did you kill Maggie?
No. Did I kill my wife?
Yes, sir.
No, David.
Do you know who did?
No, I do not know who did.
Did you kill Paul?
No, I did not kill Paul.
Do you know who did?
No, sir, I do not know who did. Do you think I killed Maggie?
I have to go where the evidence and the facts
I
take me.
understand that. And you think I killed Paul?
I have to go where the evidence and the facts take me, and I don't have anything that points to anybody else at this time.
So does that mean that I am a suspect?
You were still in, like I told Corey earlier, you were still in this.
The third interrogation ended with Alex looking more guilty than ever. But that was just the beginning of his troubles. 1 month after the interview, news broke that Alex had been the victim of a roadside shooting attempt. However, police investigations revealed that Alex had hired someone to kill him so that his son could collect a $10 million life insurance policy. The hired man was tracked, arrested, and charged with assisted suicide, aggravated assault, battery, firearm assault, insurance fraud, and conspiracy to commit insurance fraud. The man denied trying to kill Alex, claiming that he was trying to stop Alex from hurting himself, and that during the struggle, the gun discharged, grazing Alex's head. Alex and his lawyer cooperated with authorities, with Alex admitting to the plot to defraud the insurance company. His legal team's defense was that Alex had been struggling with depression and battling an opioid addiction, which had worsened after the death of his wife and son. This raised further suspicion about why a reputable lawyer like Alex would do such a thing. Soon enough, more evidence began to surface, suggesting that Alex may not have been as reputable as they thought. Investigators expanded their inquiry, launching a criminal investigation into the 2018 death of the Murdaugh's long-term housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield. Her death had been recorded as a trip and fall accident, which Alex had used to muscle the insurance company into paying over $4.3 million. However, Alex diverted all the money, with not a single penny reaching the victim's family. Further investigation revealed that Gloria's death was not an accident, as Alex had claimed, leading to new insurance fraud allegations. This was just scratching the surface of Alex's financial crimes. A few days later, Alex's law firm revealed his embezzlement scheme and publicly disclosed his theft of funds, along with other financial crimes, leading to over 100 state and federal charges. These included, but were not limited to, breach of trust with fraudulent intent, obtaining property by false pretenses, money laundering, computer crimes, and forgery. It gets even worse when on June 14th of 2022, more than a year after his son and wife's death, Alex was formally indicted on double murder charges. Given the intense media scrutiny and the virality of both the murder case and his financial crimes, Alex's once powerful judicial influence no longer seemed to help him. The breakthrough in the murder case came when the video that Paul had planned to record and send to his friend Rogan Gibson shortly before the murders, well, that was recovered. The footage, which had captured Alex's voice in the background, and the timestamp indicated it had been filmed shortly before the murders. This discovery severely undermined Alex's alibi, which had claimed that he was with his ailing parents at the time of the murders. His credibility crumbled further when he took the stand and admitted to lying to law enforcement about his whereabouts, attributing it to his addiction to prescription painkillers and his paranoia. The final blow to Alex's defense came when his shirt from the night of the murders was examined under a microscope, revealing fine blood splatter. Not visible to the naked eye, but it suggested that Alex had indeed been responsible for killing his wife and son. After a 3-week trial, with the prosecution presenting a solid case, the jury deliberated for less than 3 hours before finding Alex guilty of both murders. On March 3rd, 2023, the day of his sentencing, Alex made his final plea.
For the defense.
Your Honor, Mr. Griffin and I would have no comment. The defendant would like to address the court, though.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm innocent. I would never hurt my wife, Maggie, and I would never hurt my son, Paul.
Thank you.
Mr. Murdoch, you will come to the court for sentencing. All right, Mr. Murdoch, I sentence you to the State Department of Corrections on each of the murder indictments in the murder of your wife, Maggie Murdoch. I sentence you for the term of the rest of your natural life for the murder of Paul Murdoch, whom you probably love so much. I sentence you to prison for murdering him for the rest of your natural life. Those sentences will run consecutive.
Although the murder trial had concluded, Alex still faced punishment for his financial crimes. He pled guilty and was sentenced to 27 years for his state financial crimes and 40 years for his federal financial crimes, both to be served concurrently with his life sentence for the murders. And if you enjoy true crime content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and be sure to watch this one